The drama surrounding the WNBA has reached a boiling point. What began as whispered concerns behind boardroom doors has exploded into a full-blown crisis threatening to unravel the entire foundation of women's professional basketball. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's leadership, once hailed as a beacon of stability, now stands at the center of an implosion that has left players, coaches, and fans questioning everything. The league that was supposed to be entering its golden era is now on life support. And there's only one man powerful enough to step in and try to save it, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. For months, tension simmered quietly. Players grew increasingly frustrated with Engelbert's decisions, her failure to address officiating controversies, and her silence on issues that mattered most to them. The players' union, fed up with vague promises, triggered the opt-out clause in their collective bargaining agreement, setting the expiration date for October 2025. That one decision flipped the switch from frustration to open rebellion. The countdown to chaos had begun, and with every passing week, the situation grew worse. Reports surfaced of players threatening to boycott future seasons unless Engelbert stepped down. The trust that once existed between commissioner and athletes was gone, replaced by open resentment. Behind the scenes, the WNBA's walls were closing in. Empty seats filled arenas where record crowds once gathered. The optimism that had surrounded Caitlin Clark's arrival evaporated as fans questioned whether the league's leadership even understood the moment they were living in. The commissioner's relationship with her players had turned toxic. Every public statement only made things worse. Engelbert's insistence that the league was thriving felt disconnected from reality. By the time she held her infamous Friday press conference, where she dismissed growing unrest as media noise, the damage was irreversible. That moment turned the spark into a firestorm. Players felt dismissed, fans felt betrayed, and even sponsors began to back away. Inside sources revealed that communication between Engelbert and the players' union had collapsed entirely. Emails went unanswered. Calls were ignored. The WNBA wasn't being led. It was drifting, rudderless, and confused. And that's when the phone rang in Adam Silver's office. Silver had been watching closely. As commissioner of the NBA, which partially owns and funds the WNBA, he couldn't afford to ignore the crisis any longer. His job was already heavy, balancing NBA stars, global expansion, and declining television numbers, but the WNBA meltdown had become too big to ignore. He stepped in quietly at first, sending advisors to assist negotiations and stabilize operations. But when Engelbert continued to lose control, Silver had no choice but to intervene directly. When he finally addressed the situation publicly, his words were careful but telling. Standing before cameras at NBC Sports headquarters, Silver described the situation as growing pains. On the surface, it sounded like a diplomatic understatement, but to insiders, it was a coded warning. The NBA was watching, and Engelbert's days were numbered. His message was clear. The WNBA's internal fractures weren't just bad optics. They were threatening the entire ecosystem of professional basketball. Behind closed doors, Silver's tone was much sharper. According to sources, he had privately warned Engelbert months earlier to rebuild trust with her players and modernize league operations. She ignored that advice. Now, with negotiations stalling and players publicly threatening a strike, Silver wasn't asking anymore. His office had taken over parts of the collective bargaining process, coordinating directly with legal and PR teams to keep the WNBA from collapsing. The so-called partnership between the leagues was now a full-blown takeover. For Engelbert, the humiliation was complete. What was supposed to be her legacy, guiding the WNBA into its most successful era, had become her downfall. Her relationship with star players had disintegrated, and even the media that once praised her leadership had turned. Analysts openly questioned whether she had the competence to lead. Every interview she gave made her sound more detached, more defensive, more lost. Her refusal to take responsibility only made Adam Silver's shadow loom larger. At the center of all this chaos stood Caitlin Clark, the young phenom who had brought unprecedented attention and excitement to women's basketball. Her games broke records. Her name filled headlines. Yet even she couldn't escape Engelbert's mismanagement. When Clark was left off the Olympic roster, fans erupted, and the commissioner's silence spoke volumes. To many, it was a symbol of everything wrong with the league: politics over merit, pride over progress. Engelbert had turned the WNBA's greatest asset into a symbol of dysfunction. Adam Silver, on the other hand, saw what Engelbert couldn't. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player. She was the blueprint for the league's survival. Her rise had proven that women's basketball could dominate the sports conversation when properly supported. Silver understood that keeping her happy, protected, and motivated was key to the league's future. Engelbert, however, treated Clark's popularity as a nuisance rather than an opportunity. That blind spot became fatal. Sponsors began bypassing the league office entirely, pouring money directly into Clark's team and personal promotions. The league was benefiting from her fame, but its leadership had no control over it. As the WNBA's internal collapse accelerated, Silver's patience ran out. Reports emerged that he had quietly formed a crisis advisory group inside the NBA to evaluate the legal and financial implications of Engelbert's removal. Officially, the WNBA denied it, but behind the scenes, those discussions were very real. Executives and team owners were losing faith fast. The phrase shadow commissioner began circulating through media circles. The message was unmistakable. Adam Silver was already running the WNBA, whether anyone wanted to admit it or not. The timing couldn't have been worse for Engelbert. The league was preparing for a multi-billion-dollar media rights renewal, its most important deal ever, and no broadcaster wanted to sign under her unstable leadership. Every delay, every controversy, every awkward press conference chipped away at confidence. Sponsors grew nervous, players grew louder, and Adam Silver grew stronger. By the time October arrived, whispers of Engelbert's resignation had turned into expectations. Insiders claimed she would be offered a quiet exit, an elegant way to save face while allowing the NBA to take formal control. Others believed Silver would wait until the new collective bargaining agreement was finalized before forcing her out. Either way, her future was sealed. Even the players, once cautious about speaking out, began hinting that change was coming. On social media, cryptic posts from veterans and rookies alike hinted at a shift in leadership. Now, as Halloween looms, the symbolic deadline for the expiring CBA, the league stands at a crossroads. Behind the scenes, the tension is unbearable. The players' union refuses to budge without structural reform. The commissioner's office is silent. The NBA's lawyers and PR teams are working overtime. Every negotiation feels like the calm before an inevitable storm. What happens next will decide more than just a season. It will determine whether women's basketball survives this era or becomes another cautionary tale of poor leadership and wasted potential. If the league collapses into a lockout, the damage could take years to undo. But if Adam Silver takes full control, the WNBA might finally find the stability and vision it's been missing all along. Because at this point, one truth is undeniable. The WNBA is no longer being led by Kathy Engelbert. It's being rescued by Adam Silver. The question now isn't whether he can save the league. It's whether he'll have to rebuild it from the ground up to do so. So, what do you think? Has Adam Silver done enough to save the WNBA, or is it already too late? Should Kathy Engelbert step aside before the league collapses under her leadership? And can the players truly trust the NBA to protect their future? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.